Hello and welcome to this Digital Camera Magazine video tutorial. Here we're going to show you how to get a better background. So we have some pictures of some daffodils here, and what we want to do is actually work with the background that we have and just improve it to really make the most of the daffodils in the foreground. So unlike other tutorials where we actually cut out and replace the background, we're actually going to work with what we've got. So the final result should look something along the lines of this, where we've actually kicked back the detail in the background, but we've kept the foreground daffodils. We kept the depth of field by including a few of the leaves in the foreground as well. So the first thing that we need to do is duplicate our background layer, and we can do that by a shortcut of going Ctrl J or Apple J. Before you do that, make sure that you've got your background layer selected. Just go Ctrl J and you'll see layer 1 appear, and that's your layer that we're going to start working on. Now we're going to use the quick selection tool just to select our daffodils. So if you just hit A on your keyboard, and you'll see a circle with a little plus sign appear in the middle. And then to actually make the selection, it's very quick and easy. All you have to do is left click, start dragging across the daffodils, and you'll see it's very quickly just selecting all those areas within the daff. As you go across, you'll see it pulls in a few bits on the outside of the daffodils, and we can then use just the selection tool just to pull those back in or out of the selection that we're making. So if you use the quick selection tool, very quick as you see, we have selected the yellow of the daffodils, but we also want to start introducing some of these petals and leaves and stalks just at the bottom of the screen. We also want to take out of the selection this area by the fence and this little area of green at the bottom. So we'll start off by tackling those two areas there. So if you use Ctrl plus just to zoom right into the picture, hold down spacebar just to move the image across to one of those areas, and then hit A again just so that you've got your selection tool. In the options at the top, just make sure that you've got your mode as mask. As soon as you do that, you'll see this red mask appear over the screen. And also just change the overlay from 50%, which it's set at as default, down to about 25%. That just enables you to see a little bit more of the information in the background. Now, the options at the top, the two most important options when using the selection tool are the Add to Selection and Subtract from Selection. So first of all, we want to subtract this little area of fence from our selection. So just click Subtract from Selection. At the moment our brush is a little bit too big, so we're going to use our square bracket tools just to reduce the size of that. And now what we can do is just very quickly paint that little area back out of our selection. Now using this tool does take a little bit of time and skill, so do take your time when making the selection. The better, or the more time and the better the selection that you make, the better the end result will look. So there we go, we'll just take those two bits out of the selection, and if we just zoom out a little bit using Control minus or Apple minus, and we see that those two areas which were unmasked are now masked, which means they're now in our selection. If we drag over to the leaves and the stalks, we'll just zoom in again, use our spacebar and clicking just to move around. We now want to start pulling in the stalks here and these leaves. So if we go Add to Selection, which is the far left option in the tool palette, just increase our brush size a little bit, and now we can just start to draw in those areas. And again, the more carefully and the more time you spend over this, the better the final result will look. Okay, so this selection takes a little bit of time, so I'll see you in the next part where we refine our selection and start to use the clone tool just to remove a few elements that we don't want in our picture.